Christy and Alonso here with your long-awaited, very exciting substance spoiler talk. We knew pretty early, like we're going to have to do a whole separate spoiler conversation about the substance because so much crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
We're going to give everyone a little bit of time here to get caught up. Looks like we are about to be in your world. It takes a couple seconds here from Riverside to then show up into YouTube, but I think we are there now. I see us. Do you see us?
Hang on, let me open.
We got some friends here already. We got Nero and we got Ed Looney. Hi, guys. Good to see you. As always, if you could just let us know real fast how we sound, how we look, how we sound. We always kind of appreciate the quick little checkup before we launch in earnest. Hello, Pablo. You made it. Wonderful. Hello, It Can Be.
Here we are.
Nero says, I wanted to leave a rather contrarian take here, as I'll be unfortunately unable to watch this chat live. Sorry to miss you. I was wondering what you thought regarding the film's critiques of Fame. They felt too familiar, he said. Well, we will get into that in a sec. We'll let some folks trickle in here in a bit. Sushi Cookie is in Vegas, and Milagros Amondere is in Argentina. Hello, and Skate Alex and Matt and Joey. Hi, everybody. Pablo says we both look and sound perfect. And I believe him.
Perfection.
Pablo wouldn't lie to us. He wouldn't steer us wrong. Great to see you all. Jamie says we look marvelous. Thank you, Jamie. So we're going to get into it. There's so much to talk about here, especially in that third act. So hopefully if you are here hanging out with us, you have also seen the substance and you're ready to talk about all the nitty gritty of it. Before we start, I want to mention real fast, happy birthday to our good friend, Christian Harloff.
Yes.
I think it might be a milestone birthday. Maybe I'm a year off on that, but happy birthday to Christian. And also want to just send out some love to our good friends at the Grail Movie House in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yes.
They are old friends of ours. They are one of our earliest movie house shout out theaters when we were mentioning art house theaters a couple of years ago to try to boost them post pandemic. And the folks at the Grail have stayed friends and like they post our stuff and we comment on their stuff. And it's a bummer. They got devastated with the big storm that came through Asheville, North Carolina. They're in that arts district there. And they posted on Facebook photos of just everything is just destroyed. Like it's heartbreaking. So, so if it's anything to do for them, we'll let you know. I mean, if they're planning to rebuild, we hope. And they had just renovated, like added a new screen. Anyway, it's very sad, and they're great folks. So, so sending love to them as they deal with all the aftermath of that. Monica is also in Argentina. Holm is in London. Rob, 5 a.m. in Australia. I am so happy that you woke up to hang out with us. And hello to Joey in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Okay, let's talk about it. Because there's some stuff that we saw that we can't unsee. And it's particularly in that third act when that big title card comes up and says, Monstro Elizasu. I laughed out loud because I'm like, holy crap, what is this going to be? Alonso, let's talk about what all happens to Demi and or Margaret Qualley. I don't know who all was in there.
So after spending the entire movie, doing a very bad job of sharing a life where Sue is trying to like suck out more and more days to exist as Sue, even if that means like, shriveling up what is left of Elizabeth's spinal fluid or whatever, she starts falling apart and decides that she needs to give herself the substance as the sort of second, creation already, which again, if you're a Patreon subscriber, we talk about the movie seconds. This is a thing where, you get a second chance and then you want another second chance. And so when she stabs herself with what's left of the substance, out comes Monstro Elizasu, who still thinks that she can pull off that dress, and I guess does in a way, but has Sue's Elizabeth's silent screaming face coming out of her back, which eventually leads to a beautiful basket case moment where Elizabeth's face crawls onto her own star on the Walk of Fame.
So I've never seen Basket Case. So explain to me what the similarity is with that, if you would, please.
So Basket Case is about a guy who's, carrying around this basket and people get killed. And you find out later that it was his conjoined twin, and doctors forced them to be apart, even though they didn't want to be apart. But they maintain a psychic connection. And now the twin in the basket is the one killing the people. And the twin in the basket is kind of like a face and a glob, and it's not unlike what Demi Moore winds up being in the last moments of The Substance.
Yes, Gage points out he was reminded of Malignant, right?
Where
there's the other twin coming out of the back in Malignant.
Yes.
For sure. Our friend Igor is here from Poland. Hello, dear Christy and Alonso. Been literally ages since I joined one of your live chats. Happy to be with you now. So happy to see you. Yeah. It's nuts. And I think once she puts on the little dangle sparkle earrings, like that makes the outfit. And then she looks fine.
It all comes together then, yes.
Like what you accessorize with that. Yeah. So I've seen the complaint, and I think maybe this is something that you may have had a problem with as well. Like that there's just too much blood in that ending. Once like body parts are dripping off of her and blood is like spurting out of her from everywhere. Like I've seen the argument that it's too much. Is that what was too much for you?
I didn't mind the blood. The thing that I thought was excessive in the finale is when we hear again the lines of like Dennis Quaid saying "you should smile," or there's like these lines of dialogue from earlier in the film where people were being like gross or sexist or ageist or whatever to the character, and I kind of felt like, okay, we just saw, we've been watching this movie all along. We remember, we know what is prompting this moment now. We didn't need that reminder. And so that was what I thought was like laying it on a little too heavily. The blood, I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? We're here. Let's take it all the way, because, you saw Revenge, right?
Oh yeah, we reviewed Revenge.
Yes, yeah. So Coralie Fargeat, not one for half measures, and nor should she be. And so I didn't have a problem with the blood. I did have a problem with the like previously on The Substance.
Yeah, because I agree, but maybe it's just like, yes, it's hammering home, things that we just saw. But I guess in her fever dream state, this is what is driving her mania. I guess that could have been implied without actually literally spelling it out.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, obviously this is, to address the person asking about the satire of fame, like none of this is delivered with a light touch. Like she's going hard and she's going heavy and she's like really hammering this stuff home, but she's doing it in a way that's stylish and funny and unsettling. And so I think all of those flavors work well together.
Yeah, for sure. And just grotesque. And something we didn't talk about in our regular review, the non-spoiler review, was just like the self-aware meta quality of Demi Moore being cast in this role, and how brave and surprisingly funny that is from her. Because for so long, for decades, like going back to striptease and G.I. Jane, like the fact that she had this impossibly fantastic body is a huge part of her persona. And then as she has gotten older, like she's clearly had a lot of work done. She looks spectacular. She dated Ashton Kutcher for a long time, so there are all these really obvious, ways that she's been trying to stay young, trying to stay youthful and vital, just like Elizabeth. So for her to play a role like this, that it spells it out like that, I thought was kind of brave.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think she's basically kind of addressing, the elephant in the room in a lot of ways. But I think it's not even so much that she's always been sort of youthful, but those are examples in which like her body kind of is the narrative, like striptease and G.I. Jane, and even like, the bikini scene that everybody talked about in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. It's been very front and center, like her physicality, her presentation of femininity, of women of a, whatever age she was at the time, I think that's always been kind of front and center. So she's the perfect person to do this movie, and I think, I cannot wait for you to see Baby Girl, the trailer for that drop today. But like, there is a scene in this movie in which like Nicole Kidman is getting Botox and other characters talk about it, so it's like, they are just like, yes, it's me and I'm doing this thing and you've been thinking this thing about me all along and I'm just going to present it to you,
I mean, she does look great.
She does.
And a lot of that's hard work, and a lot of that is the miracle of modern medicine.
Right. But the thing is, like, even Demi Moore, I'm sure, has had to deal with these conversations like, we want to go with somebody younger, and so like, even with these Herculean efforts, the industry is still going to chew you up and spit you out for somebody who's 22.
But this brings me to this question I want to raise right now from our friend Joey Mangini, who says, do you think The Substance has a real chance at any Oscar/award nominations? I mean, does Demi Moore get an Oscar nomination for this?
I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility. I mean,
neither do I.
I think the Academy of 10, 15 years ago, would never watch this movie. But I think the Academy that, honored, Moonlight and Parasite might. Mubi is a pretty small company, but I think they have very much committed to the idea of an Oscar campaign for this. Yeah. And, like I said, we've seen A24 and Neon kind of step up and really, the Academy that picked Everything Everywhere All at Once as a Best Picture winner could totally, at least nominate Demi Moore for a movie that's this, out there.
This out there and this much like a part of the zeitgeist. Like, it's a thing that everyone was talking about. Also, like, I thought Poor Things was too weird last year, and look how that turned out.
Sure, exactly. Good example. I think if anything, certainly if you're looking at other like Best Picture, no. Especially because I think the Academy wants to honor movies that make movies look good. When you look back at like The Artist, when you look back at Argo, like these are movies that are about like, isn't Hollywood great? Don't we do wonderful things? Yeah. And I think that the satire of this is going to be off-putting for folks. But I think Demi Moore's just like total commitment to the bit here, and the fact that she took on the role in the first place when she is so perfect for it, but at the same time is like, making it possible for people to then ask questions that might be uncomfortable about her past or her screen presence or her persona, whatever. I think all of that is something that they could very well honor.
For sure. And it requires a level of like candor and self-awareness that seems rare in this industry.
She knows what she's doing.
For sure. We have a lot of folks mentioning that it probably should get at least a makeup nomination, like, visual effects or makeup or something. And sound design, our channel member Lewis Cook points out, sound design, which, as I have mentioned, is squishy.
Very.
Right. All the viscera, like when Margaret Qualley is like coming out of her body, like the squishiness of that.
Yeah. And it's wet.
It is. No, it really is. Oh, yeah. And Blue Prada mentions also Mia Goth in Pearl should have gotten that, too. This is also a gonzo performance that, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I think, there was at least talk about it, which I think in years past, outside of like, the pages of Fangoria, you wouldn't see people even shortlisting, these kind of performances for nominations. But like, I think she's got a decent shot. But, having in the last few months seen this performance and Nicole Kidman and Baby Girl and Angelina Jolie and Maria, it's like it's going to be a competitive year.
Sushi Cookie raises a point that I want to get to, because we've sort of danced around it a little bit, and that is, do you think Demi's character was aware she wouldn't be living as her younger self, or was she blindsided? What's the point of taking it if you can't live your youthful fantasy? So let's talk about the logistics of how this works, right? Where you're living in the world for 7 days, and then you're like, a blob on the bathroom floor for 7 days.
Right.
And, what is the point of that if you can't actually enjoy yourself, if, Margaret Qualley is out there living your life for you? I think maybe she was blindsided by it, but maybe also like eventually when she realized what the deal was, like she's so desperate to be relevant in any capacity that she'll take it even if somebody else is actually enjoying it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think she probably plunged into it without really understanding the full set of circumstances and how it would go. But yeah, I think there's a part of her where it's like, even if my consciousness is not out there enjoying all this, it is at least my essence and my body. And even if it's another self that I don't recognize and I don't even maybe like, At least it is still me out there, like in front of the cameras, having the success and doing whatever. And so, I think it is kind of a monkey's paw bargain that she is making here, and is willing to do that. And I think it really only falls apart because her younger self is so selfish, and her younger self is so greedy with the time and the existence that she will destroy herself to maintain it, even though like it's going to bring both of them down, and does.
Right, because she is young and does not have the perspective of age and wisdom and time to realize, like, we've got to be prudent with this to keep this thing going.
Yeah, or it will
she
be
wants what she wants, and she wants it now.
Exactly. Yeah, she's rapacious.
We have a bunch of questions here about, have any movies ever gotten Oscars that were horror movies? And like The Exorcist, yeah?
I want to say yes. I mean, well, in the makeup category, yes, quite a few. I mean, American Werewolf in London, and Kathy Bates won an Oscar for Misery, which is an outlier. Sigourney Weaver was nominated for Aliens.
Is Aliens a horror movie?
I think so.
Okay,
all right. I mean, it's also an action movie, but it's a horror movie. Yeah.
People get picked off one by one. I guess it is a horror movie in that regard. Some folks have mentioned The Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
I don't know. Example. Is that a horror movie?
Among other things, yes, I'd say there are horror aspects to it for sure.
Okay. Yes. The Exorcist won 2 Oscars for screenplay and for sound, and was nominated for Best Picture and for Ellen Burstyn and Linda Blair, a bunch of things, cinematography. Got a bunch of nominations. So listen, here's a question then: is The Substance a horror movie? I don't know.
I mean, again, the sort of, what is a horror movie anyway? I mean, I think it's a body horror movie, certainly. Sure. It is a satire. It is a sort of like technology gone wrong movie. Like, I think in a lot of ways, it's kind of a Black Mirror episode. It's a very much a be careful what you want, and it's using, technology that doesn't quite exist yet to comment on technology that does exist, and how people use it and what they think it's going to accomplish for them. Again, seconds, this notion that people think like, oh, if I could just like fix my exterior, then everything's going to be great, but your interior is always going to come back to haunt you. And, I think probably a lot of what Margaret Qualley is doing is the way that, Demi Moore's character behaved at that age,
right.
And so she is unleashing her younger, selfish id upon the world in a hot body, and not thinking how that's going to come back and, like, I would say literally bite her in the ass.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that like each of them wakes up after 7 days and is like, what happened here?
What have you been doing?
The food all over the living room, and the picture's been taken down, and now there's this billboard with this younger person staring at me, and I kind of think like that's part of the fun of the suspense of it. Like, oh, what are they going to wake up to the next day? Gage mentions that he liked the packaging of it. The attention to detail on the substance and how it works, and the unboxing and the little cards. Like, I like the font.
Yeah. No. All of that was great. The thing that's just to like crawl under the garage door to get into, but then it's that very sleek set of like those Amazon lockers that you see, at certain malls or grocery stores or whatever, It
looks like the end of 2001. It looks like his bedroom at the end of 2001. With like the big white tiles. Like the lighting is really bright and harsh.
Yeah, no, I do like the attention to detail and stuff like that. The vacuum sealed packaging and stuff.
Yeah. And the boxes get smaller, right?
Oh,
the more desperate she becomes to cling to this and keep it going.
Right.
It goes from like the giant box that has everything to just a little bit less and a little bit less, which is a physical manifestation of like her
chasing the dragon.
And like how it's making her feel, and how effective it is for her, and how she gets on the phone and was like, this is not working out for me, I can't do this. And
it's kind of it's kind of an addiction narrative. It's kind of a buddy comedy, I mean, it's a lot of things.
I think it is not a horror movie, although horror aspects exist here in terms of like the amount of blood that
Sure.
occurs. I think it is a sci-fi thriller.
Yeah,
I'm parsing here. I
I
realize.
mean, you're not wrong. It's like I said, it's all these things. It is a satire. It is, but I mean, I think it is specifically a body horror movie, not just because Demi Moore gives birth to herself through her back, but I think it is about the body itself and how it as a sort of transactional element, as a as a commodity, is the subject here. The idea of like what happens to a woman's body when it ages, even when it has been meticulously cared for and has like, state of the art, improvements or maintenance going on. And is that ever going to be enough, for this demanding culture that has a very narrow definition of what standards of beauty are.
Is it enough for the culture, and is it ever going to be enough for herself?
That too, yes.
Will
Totally.
she ever feel like pretty enough?
Right.
Our friend Seth asks, why does Dennis Quaid give Demi Moore a cookbook?
I think that there is this notion of like, well, you don't have to like starve yourself anymore because you are now disposable and you're off camera and you are, your body is no longer the commodity that you are transacting with in the way that you have in the past. So why not, now time to let your hair down and have some foie gras,
You can eat now. I think also it is a reflection of how little he knows her or even cares to know her. It's a very impersonal gift.
Sure. And it's also like, well, you're a woman. You cook, right?
You like to cook.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Yeah, that was all very fun, the whole thing with the cookbook. I enjoyed that. Raina is here. Hello, Raina.
Hey, Raina.
Raina says, love their dueling personalities, them yelling at each other like in your name were the most entertaining moments.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. And I'm seeing also is like David Cronenberg's Barbie. I'm seeing a Neon Demon comparison here.
Yeah. I mean, not a movie that worked for me, but I mean, definitely sort of trafficking in the same kind of ideas and imagery for sure.
The extremism of it, like the garish kind of neon quality of it.
Yes, but with a sense of humor.
Yeah, and Mick Lebowski mentions the hallways, the use of hallways here. Coralie Fargeat really seems to love hallways, both the substance and revenge. Use hallways really well. Yeah, I mean, they definitely they indicate her isolation for sure in terms of like where she is placed in it. How in the beginning the hallway is this very affirming place, like, oh, look at all the posters of me being beautiful and vital, and eventually she's just like down at the end of the hallway by herself,
right?
And the posters are gone, and it almost feels extreme, like it's magnified how long it is.
Oh no, totally. Yeah, they definitely play with that. I mean they're kind of the opposite of a phallic symbol if you think about it, I guess.
Interesting.
And obviously the carpet in that hallway is meant to call to mind The Shining.
Yeah.
Another Kubrickian shout out besides the 2001 tiles you were mentioning before. I mean, I think they are a means of access, but they are also a means of separation, depending on how they're filmed.
Yeah, and also the fact that like all the work that she does as Margaret Qualley, as Sue, to like build that little hidden room behind the bathroom to place the body so it's not like lying out on the bathroom floor for 7 days. Right. I love all of that, and how the interactions with the neighbor across the way, just the complete dolt who wants to go charging in there until he sees like, oh, she's hot.
Right. And I think, but that room is sort of like the antithesis of what Elizabeth does. Elizabeth brings this younger self into the world, and the younger self is hiding Elizabeth from the world. Like kind of just like trying to ensconce it away in the back as much as possible, lest anyone see it,
Yeah, no, that's really good. Brian's comparing it to Gremlins. How is it like Gremlins?
Oh, well, there's rules.
That's true.
There's rules. I mean, picture of Dorian Gray obviously comes to mind, and that's a horror story.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Someone here is mentioning Raw. Raw is great.
Oh
Julia
yeah.
Ducournau's Raw, very
Yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. So the rules of it are really interesting, and they're so specific, and they are drilled in with such like it's like a monotone, but it's firm. Like you
Yes.
cannot deviate from this, and the second that she hears the rules that the rules are going to get tossed out the window eventually.
Yeah. And it's even a thing where, like, again, I think kind of playing into the addiction thing where she has to like dig the old canisters and the old needles out of the trash to like maintain it, because they give you the 7 and the 7 is all you need. And, but she's got, they're having to sort of make do with like, oh, there's this little bit of substance left. Like they're scavenging, because they're transgressing, and if they stick to the rules, then all you need is what they give you. But if you break the rules, then you have to like reuse and reimagine.
Yes, Sue is very crafty with figuring out like how to make all that work, and also as who mentioned this? Of course, Sue is Looney. I love how good Sue is at carpentry. Of course, she is. Oh, also, Andrew mentions that gremlins grow out of the Mogwai's back.
Oh, right. Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
that is gremlin as well. Oh, and Connor mentions, as a recovering addict, the addiction component rang very true to me. That's a really interesting comment in that, right, she's hooked on this thing that she is shooting herself up with, and there's never enough.
Right. And she's hooked on, the younger self is hooked on presence, basically, and like, and doesn't want to yield the weak that she is, that is demanded of her.
Yeah. And the thing that really pushes Sue to, try to drag this out as long as she can is male approval, whether it's the guy that she's making out with on the couch and, she starts falling apart while that's happening.
Yeah.
Or it's, wanting to host that New Year's Eve gig.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I think, we talk about how like the self-loathing of Elizabeth, the date scene and that kind of stuff. And it's like, yes, part of that is that's all tied in with her self-esteem. But I think one could also argue that her self-esteem is tied into the patriarchy, and that she has consumed these messages of not good enough, not young enough, not thin enough, so much that she now imposes them upon herself.
Right. She's not enjoying it. Right. She can't enjoy when Sue is out in the world.
Right. No, exactly.
It's not for her own sense of self in any way. Yeah. John Stone, thank you so much for your kind donation. We were so happy to have you here today. John says, big fan of y'all. Thank you. I'm curious, are there any modern horror movies that have genuinely scared you? Any obscure recommendations? To me, Hereditary broke me. Hereditary is terrifying. I think Midsummer as well. I think a lot of the A24 horror.
Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
That scared you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, that I was like sweating. I was just like, it was, I found it very tense and terrifying. And I'm not a fan of his, I'm not a fan of remakes, but I thought that was really effective. I don't approve of all of it, but Don't Breathe is pretty scary.
Yeah.
In a tense kind of way.
Yeah. There are definitely things where like I'm sitting next to you and I jump and I grab your arm.
The first Conjuring, I have to say, when they're doing the little, whatever however they're doing the game where something whistles or snaps back or whatever, that really scared me. Like our friend Tom and I were sitting next to each other at the LA Film Festival, like hitting each other in the leg. We were like freaking out.
John likes your answer. He says, Dawn of the Dead was the bomb. Thank you, LOL.
Yeah. Also, I'm a super soft touch when it comes to horror movies in general. So like I'm easy, to freak out. Dave is currently revisiting the Terrifier movies because Terrifier 3 is coming out. And Terrifier 3 is also a Christmas movie, but I don't know if I can deal with it because apparently it's like a super, super gory slasher series.
Okay, so I don't know Terrifiers 1 and 2, but I put a thing on our Instagram stories today asking folks like, hey, it's October. What are you looking forward to seeing? And a couple of folks responded Terrifier 3. And like, I I think, is this a thing where we've got to watch Terrifiers 1 and 2?
I'm not going to, based on what Dave's been describing them, but I might try and watch 3 just for the Christmas of it all. But yeah, it's a slasher series about a sort of, unkillable murderer named Art the Clown, and apparently there's lots of practical effects and point of impact filming.
So Connor says Terrifier 2 rules. Terrifier 1 is unwatchable, but 2 rocks. And Joey says Terrifier 2 is so disgusting. I loved it.
Okay.
So interesting. I don't know where I have been for all these Terrifiers. Recently, I would say that Long Legs was very effective.
Still need to see that.
Yeah, Tim and I did Long Legs, and just like the grip, like the way it's paced, it just holds you in this tight grip, and it's very stressful, and its use of silence and the pacing of it.
Justin Long in the Basement. What was that movie called?
Oh, that was good. Justin Long in the Basement, guys. What is it? Someone's gonna know. Oh God, I'm looking at IMDb. We definitely reviewed.
Had one of those names like Leviathan or something. That wasn't what it was called.
It's one word.
Yeah.
I caught up with it afterward, and it is called Hang On. Oh,
I saw that in a pretty crowded house at the Grove, and we were all like, "Wah!"
Barbarian.
Thank you.
Yes, everyone's barbarianing me now in the comments. Thank you. Oh, Leo mentioned Drag Me to Hell. I thought Drag Me to Hell was really funny.
It's also pretty scary. Like whenever I think about like what's a really good PG-13 horror movie, that's usually one of the first ones that comes to mind.
Yeah, no, that was it's funny in that Sam Raimi-ish way,
Yes.
like it's intense and it's scary, but you also laugh your ass off.
Yeah.
So yes, everyone, Barbarian, thank you. We forget things. Things leave our brains.
It's true.
A lot of the time. What have we not gotten to yet, Alonso, that we did not talk about in our non-spoiler review?
Well, I never want to see Dennis Quaid eat shrimp again.
Harvey, the very subtly named
as Harvey. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, this is not a subtle movie.
No. And definitely like, I mentioned there's sort of minor things. So it's like, bathroom stall doors in the United States don't come all the way to the floor, and the typefaces in that cookbook are wrong. But also like that whole like live show thing, it's like, okay, none of this would be operating like this in an actual live show situation, but whatever, we go with it.
I gotta say, I almost texted you. I was someplace recently and the restroom doors the stall doors went all the way to the floor. I almost texted you because I'm like, ooh, this is a thing that Alonso does not think is real.
I stand corrected. I've only ever seen them in Europe, but maybe for the ladies, you get that at some places.
Where I feel like the ones at the Grove go all the way down. Anyway,
at the theater.
Yes.
Oh, the men's don't.
Oh, that's very fancy for the ladies. Brent is here. Hello, Brent. Mentions The Shining and Vertigo references. So I didn't catch that piece of Vertigo score while I was watching it. Did you?
Yes, but I remember sort of clocking it, but I don't remember like when they use it. I've forgotten now.
Yes. Hello, Ed. Thank you for your kind contribution. Ed says, what did you think of the symbols, the fly in the wine, the dragon of flame, and the dragon robe? That's a good question.
Oh,
I think some of it is meant to be just like eerie imagery, perhaps, the fly and the wine. Like, I think just the idea of like there's the grotesquerie of that lunch.
Yeah,
of him shoving the shrimp in his face, like the close-up of the shrimp and the
sauce
juices.
And when the fly and wine kind of reminded me of there's a play called As Bees in Honey Drown, and I just think about like the sort of this idea of being like overcome by the thing that you think you want, like flies land on food. They usually take the little thing and take a shit or whatever and fly away, whatever it is the flies do, but the idea of like drowning in wine, it's like, yes, it's what I want. It's what I want. But now I'm dead.
Yeah.
Did not think about the dragon though. I don't really know.
Well, Sue's wearing the dragon robe, right?
I believe.
I feel like all of Sue's stuff is like flashier.
Sure.
Like younger and flashier. And that's not how Elizabeth dresses. Like when you see what Elizabeth's wearing to have lunch with Harvey, it's like a suit,
Sure.
So maybe it's just that she's younger.
And the aesthetics of her show are very sort of like 80s Jane Fonda, whereas like, the Sue is keeping it more contemporary. Maybe she was a fan of Drive.
Right. Is that a dragon? Is that a scorpion?
It's scorpion. It's a scorpion. You're right.
It's a scorpion on the satin jacket.
Right.
Very good. Brent says, I think it's swimming against the current, the inevitability of the flow of time. Ooh. The fly in the wine.
There you
I
go.
like that. Kyle mentions Skinamarink scared the shit out of him.
Just the description of it, I find off-putting, so I have not watched it. Like I said, I have a very low threshold for horror. I'm just like, ah.
Yeah. Brian has a good question. How does Sue get a SAG card?
I'm sure the substance arranges for you to have an agent. I don't know.
This is a very, very good question. Yeah. Oh, Igor mentions It Follows. It Follows was also legitimately scary. I found it more effective than some small things are askew, creating unsettling vibe instead of getting banged on the head with gore and cheap jump scares. For sure. And the idea that this is happening in this, quiet suburbia.
Yeah.
Is always scarier.
Get Out is scary, although I did not care for his 2 follow-up films, but I think the first one is great.
Yeah. Connor points out that the dragon, and I'm going to mess this up because it's a Chinese word that begins with a Q. I apologize. Is it Qing Dynasty? Qing? Mm-hmm. It's a Qing Dynasty dragon, often a symbol of resurrection and rebirth.
Oh, okay.
So that's good.
Good catch.
I would not have noticed that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you go back and watch this again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I suspect there are little details like the Qing Dynasty dragon, for instance, to be picked up along the way. And I had a good time watching it. It wasn't like it was an ordeal in any way. Like, there were parts where I was like, but I would totally. Would you?
Oh yeah, I would, because I want to appreciate again, like some of the craft of it. Like I didn't want to get into the details of it in our non-spoiler review, but the very, very beginning, that first overhead shot of the egg and injecting the egg with, I guess, what is a prototype of the substance, and then seeing the second yolk come out of it.
Yeah,
I was mesmerized from that, and there's just such simplicity to that shot. And then the whole story that Coralie Fargeat tells with the overhead shot of the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I've seen the complaints of like, there wouldn't be snow. It's LA. I mean, right. We're showing extremes here, of course. Yeah. Someone mentioned in the comments, like, how do you have topless dancers on the New Year's Eve show? Like, sure, that's a good point.
Just go with it.
It's a good point, but there's extremism going on here, so I was okay with it. It's meant to look a lot like our daily reality here in LA, but it's also like a heightened, bizarro version of it.
For sure. Yeah.
I was okay with some of that stuff, but the whole story that she tells, with it being crafted so lovingly, and the passage of time, and people walking over and not noticing it, or people taking pictures around it at first and being excited to see it, and then in time you got a woman pushing her baby stroller across it. Someone drops a burger with some ketchup all over it, and it cracks.
The slow neglect. Yeah,
I love that. Like that told its own little story so much. And I thought from the very beginning, like, oh, we are in the hands of somebody who is going to be very effective and very efficient in what she is saying. And then the whole rest of the movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And then there's great extremism. So I like that evolution too. Like from the...
It's a minimalist beginning to a maximalist movie.
Completely. But it made sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
There with like the crazy handheld camera and the blood spurting everywhere, people running and shrieking for their lives.
Right.
Like she got us there in a way that did not feel jarring.
No, for sure. Yeah, she builds along the way. I think she's a super talented filmmaker. I'm very excited to see what she does next. And I love the fact that like apparently Universal originally bankrolled this movie, and then they saw this movie and they were like, maybe somebody else wants to buy it, and that's how Mubi wound up with it.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
Universal gave her like $7.5 million, like not a huge budget for this movie, and read the script. Like they knew what she was going to do, but then they saw what she did, and they were like, they backed out.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I can't even imagine a world in which Universal would ever have distributed this in the first place.
It does seem, yeah, like an even under focus or something,
Right.
it just seems like okay, But I think it all played out the way it should have. So
No, for sure. Like, yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I can't even imagine Focus distributing it because it's not prestige-y in the
right,
way that a
yes,
lot of Focus features are.
yeah. I saw the Conclave trailer last night. It's just like, ooh, so serious,
Yeah.
but
I guess
also
it's
so
good
trashy.
though.
I don't know what it's
I
going
guess it's
to
good, like in a take your dad kind of way, Conclave. I hear it's good, but that's also a trailer, not unlike Speak No Evil, which has played before literally everything.
Right? Yeah. Again, a movie. I'll be glad when it opens, so we don't have to see the trailer anymore. But yeah, I'll tell you later what I saw last night. But we'll be talking. We'll be something we're reviewing on the show. So
I look forward to that. Steve, hello, Steve says, any good affordable restaurants you recommend near the Frida Cinema? If you know, just wondering. I'm so glad you asked, Steve. So what he's referring to, if you are
yes,
in the Southern California area and want to come hang out with us in person, we are showing John Carpenter's The Fog. Speaking of horror movies that are actually horror movies, John Carpenter's The Fog is 1980 horror classic, and we
yes,
are going to show it at the Frida in Santa Ana on Sunday, October 27th at 2 p.m. Tickets are available. I'll stick a link in the notes here,
yeah,
but tickets are available on the Frida. If you go to, I think it's just thefridacinema.org.
yeah.
I'm psyched to be a part of this. We wanted to do a live event for a really long time, and Alonso and I had individually had great experiences with folks at the Frida, and so we said, hey, let's do something, and they said, sure, let's do something, and so we're doing something, and then stick around, and we're going to record a podcast review of The Fog afterward. Yeah. But to answer your question, Steve, there's this really cool little food court like a block up the street. It's on 4th, the same street that the theater is on. So if you're walking out of the theater, make a right and go up 4th, and there's everything you could imagine to eat there.
I had some really great wings, but they had like 4 or 5 different places at least. So whatever floats your boat, you will find in that little food court. It's good stuff.
For sure. Yeah. Amy Nicholson and I, before our showing of The Fast and the Furious, we shared a big basket of fries with like stuff on them. They do poutine, they do like different kinds of chili fries.
Nice.
So we had that. So yes, I recommend that a lot. Yash mentions, I just watched Strange Darling on VOD last night. Wow. That's also a nutty movie that we did a spoiler conversation of. Bibbs was here. Have you seen Strange Darling yet, Alonso?
I have not. There's a lot of this year's horror that I need to catch up with, starting with Longlegs, but yes, Strange Darling also.
Yes, Leo says, please let us know if Gaga is in Joker 2 enough. Yes, we're seeing Joker tomorrow afternoon. And we'll do a quick little thing afterward.
And a full review on Friday.
Yes. Oh, Gage points out, full review on Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
We're doing it early. Gage points out that Paramount released Mother. Yes, we saw Mother on the Paramount
there you go.
lot.
That's true. We did.
It's one of those things which they don't do so much anymore, but quite often there's like a night where the studio wants to make sure that everyone in the LA Film Critics Association sees their big pre-holiday, pre-awards thing. They set up a special thing for us, and this was what Mother was.
Yes. They did that for us for Wolf of Wall Street too, I remember.
Yeah. I liked Mother.
I did too. Like that movie to me is the closest I've ever felt like I'm having a nightmare, in the literal sense of like things that don't quite make sense, but it's all unsettling and that sink isn't braced.
Right. I think about that all the time when I see people sitting on the edge of a sink. Like that sink is not braced. And Mother is a movie that got an F cinema score.
Yes.
Which we always enjoy.
I think is very often a badge of honor. Like Soderbergh's Solaris got one, Megalopolis could only muster a D+. So
yeah, I was about to mention that. Like, this is a conversation that I've had with so many people that when Megalopolis only got a D+ cinema score, like various people mentioned it to me.
Yeah, shoot for the F, Francis. Come on.
I mean, have any of you guys seen Megalopolis yet? Let us know what your thoughts are on that. Does that deserve an F cinema score? Yash says
Mother was a movie I like. Sorry,
The Box. Yes. Mother was nightmare fuel in the best way, says Yash.
Yes, agreed.
I agree. And Jacob Ryder says Michelle Pfeiffer should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Mother. Was she in Mother? I don't remember.
Yeah, she's like one of the parents of Javier Bardem, I think. Yeah, no, she's really good in that.
Mikulbowski asks, hi, Christy, did you attend or are you planning to attend any festivals this year? I know Alonso went to Venice. Sadly, no. This is not a thing I have done for many years. I used to cover the New York Film Festival when I was in New York. I used to cover South by Southwest a lot. And I just do not. It's
well, AFI's coming up.
AFI is coming. I saw they just released their schedule.
Yeah.
We'll just keep an eye out for that.
Maybe we'll have to see Here there.
Oh, is that where they're showing Here? Is Here there?
I believe Here is there, yes.
You know what, though? I gotta say, that trailer is very effective. And that last line that Tom Hanks says to Robin Wright, like, gets me every time.
On paper, yes. But from the people who gave us Forrest Gump, no.
I know.
We'll see. Although I live in hope. I love nothing more than to be surprised by something I didn't think was going to work. I hope they make it happen.
Yes. Rob Crosby says, Mother is a superior version of Beau is Afraid.
Yeah. They're not wrong.
So there you go. We should wrap this up in a little bit. Lewis Cook says he saw Megalopolis on Friday. Still doesn't know how he feels about it.
Fair.
Yeah. Very, very mixed reviews on that. And Igor mentions he liked Aronofsky's Mother much more than J-Lo's The Mother.
Wait. Oh, The Mother. Oh, I forgot about The Mother.
On Netflix where she's like a badass movie. And she has to go. Yes.
I was thinking about Monster-in-Law for some reason.
Oh, right. That's the double feature that we're all longing to see. John Stone, thank you again so much. John says, my truly scary movie picks. Share thoughts if you've seen The Descent, Sinister, Black Christmas, The Ring, Session 9, Lake Mungo, Dark and the Wicked. I don't know all of these.
I've seen Black Christmas. I like the first and third versions quite a bit. Sinister, is that the one with Ethan Hawke and the home movies in the attic? I didn't see that one.
I don't know.
Session 9 is creepy as fuck. You went so fast.
The Ring.
I've never seen the American The Ring, but the Japanese one is great.
You never seen the Naomi Watts remake of The Ring?
I've only seen Ringu.
Yes. The Descent, Ed says The Descent is really good.
I need to see The Descent. I've still never seen it. I hear it's super claustrophobic, which is why I haven't been running out to see it, but I hear it's very effective.
John says, yes, Ethan Hawke home movie. So you got it. You are correct on that.
Haven't seen it. Sorry.
Okay. Well, you guys are wonderful for being here. If we did not answer your questions or if more thoughts occurred to you about Monstro Elizasu in all of her splendor, please put it down in the comments and I will put a link in the note here below the description with the Fog at the Frida. We'd love to see you if you are in town, if you are LA, Orange County, Inland Empire, parts beyond. Come see us. We'd love to have you.
I was just handed this by Dave White, R.I.P. John Amos.
Yes, from Good Times.
Yes, died at the age of 84. And so now the only remaining adult actor from the Mary Tyler Moore Show is Joyce Bulifant.
Oh, right. Yes, he was on that as well. That's true. And if you are a member of our Patreon, or if you'd like to be a member of our Patreon, our off the menu poll this month is Maggie Smith Films.
Yep.
Alonso lovingly curated it.
Thank you. Yeah, just went up this morning. Selection of 5 of her most acclaimed roles. Sadly, her Oscar-winning turn in The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie not currently streaming, but
that's so weird.
Lots of other good stuff. So yeah, if you are a Patreon member, go vote, and if you are not a Patreon member, go become a Patreon member at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Thanks everybody for being here. This was a hoot. We always enjoy doing these, and we hope we maybe answered some questions. I don't know.
We're so glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And we will do Movie News Live again on Monday. Oh, not Monday, Friday. What day even is it? What is a weekend? To quote our friend Maggie Smith.
Absolutely.
What is a weekend? So we'll see you again live on Friday. Thanks so much for being here and contributing all your insights and your thoughts. So
thanks. Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.